that came out of my interest in monetary policy because I introduced a bill for competing currencies. Get rid of this total monopoly of the Fed printing money.
Well, of course, when you started, there was no Bitcoin. You were simply concerned about the Federal Reserve and U.S. monetary policy. For the folks at home who maybe support President Trump or another candidate listening for the first time, what can you share about your work really lobbying against the Federal Reserve?
Well, it really started early on because probably the first year, matter of fact, the first campaign I was in, it was in 1974 and was tokenism. But I know I went back and found the literature. I said, you know, there's something wrong with the monetary system. We should sound money and we should look into this Federal Reserve. And I was in favor very early on. You know, to do one thing was to audit the Fed to expose to the people how terrible it is and how they gain this monopoly power, and also to know how secretly it was done. So I was looking for openness, and there was a bill passed in the early 80s, or I think maybe 70s, that was called the Bank Secrecy Act. And I thought, well, that's good. I'm for bank secrecy, but it turned out it was secrecy for the government in order to look at all our bank accounts. So I was looking for something, you know, where the people have their privacy. So privacy has been a big issue in what I've did in Congress to emphasize the need, because privacy, at times they talk about it, but that's what liberty is all about. Privacy. You're an individual. You can do what you want with your money. You know, when I talk about income tax, why is it that the government gets all your money and they allow you to spend a certain portion of it? So that's all the principle of liberty. So I think this movement, which there's too much credit given to me that I had anything to do with it. But what I say is I talked about the problems that we have and how the principles of liberty solve our problems, and I believe in competing currencies and rein in the Fed's monopoly. And all of a sudden, somebody interpreted that. Maybe I didn't think this up, but it's what I love about it. It's a consequence of people concentrating on the principles of liberty, and because I so strongly believe in it, and I just think that we need a better effort. I work every single day to try to present the case for liberty so that people, the average people, just wake up. And so evidently, if people in this audience,
they're waking up, they're awake, and they're in line here, waiting to see Donald J. Trump. He's sitting here with the great Dr. Ron Paul. Dr. Paul, would love to hear your thoughts on the issues facing Americans and the economy today. Obviously, in election 2024, the economy is going to be a huge issue. What are your thoughts on just the current state of inflation and savings for the average person?
I think we live witnessing now the cracking of the biggest bubble ever in the history of financial history. And that it's been created by the number one cause, of course, is the inflation of the money supply and the devaluing of the currency. But I date so much with August 15th, the 71, because that took and severed the last link to something with a definition. And I think you have to have
talking about the Nixon shock.
Yeah, when they closed that, I think you have to have a unit of account, morally and financially. But if you have no account, you know, and that's what the debate and the arguments going on now. Can and will you know, a Bitcoin be a unit of account? But I don't think there's a magic wand. I think it takes time to people understand that so that they measure things. Today, still, the majority of people still measure the unit of account as $1, and that's why the bubble keeps being bigger. But it's going to change. The bubble always ends, and it ends either by the government wising up, which they never do, and spend less money and quit printing money.
Is there a solution to the debt crisis that you see right now if you were in power?
Not under these conditions, but there is a solution. It can be found, in freedom. So you have to realize that the government can't. They created this problem. So, but it's going to be very hard because it's very painful to quit spending. I mean, too many special interest groups. It's a ton of them, rich and poor and everybody. And then you have the military-industrial complex. You have domestic spending, you have foreign policy spending, and but unfortunately, it's not just been one party. It's been both parties that spend. And so I'm very independent-minded very often on, well, blaming he did this and he did that, because to get elected, so the people have responsibility too. But I think that's where the waking up is going. People are starting to wake up. I thought there was an awakening with COVID.
Right.
You know, when the people finally say, what are you doing this to me for? And the whole thing is, you know, people waking up. The government took over the medical care system and gave all those directions. They were tyrants. You know, they didn't allow us to make the medical decisions, and they controlled. They did this in education. Right. So it's the taking over the monetary policy. The symbolic date or the real date that I pin it down is that August 15th, when there was going to be no restraint on the federal resolve, no restraint on the special interests, no restraint whatsoever. So this is the reason why we have so much special interest and so many lobbyists in Washington, and they really run the show.
Well, Dr. Paul, I want to get your thoughts today. We're minutes away from Donald J. Trump's historic speech at the Bitcoin conference. I want to talk a little bit about your Bitcoin journey. And maybe you can tell us how your thoughts on Bitcoin have evolved in 2012 when you were running for president. A lot of young, enthusiastic kids coming to you with this maybe crazy idea.
Well, I have to say I see it through my personal viewpoint, and that is, and we already touched on this, if you take the principles of liberty, the people solve these problems. I didn't stay up and say, you know, I understand inflation, and we have to solve this problem. I think I'm going to invent the Bitcoin or something like that. But no,
so
but you have to have freedom of choice. You have to have freedom of choice, so that's important. Otherwise, the ideas can't develop. So I have a lot of confidence in people who are allowed to make up their own mind, recognize that they own their lives, they ought to own their own money, and there's one strict rule of this almost total freedom, is you can't use violence and you can't defraud, because if you break the rules of natural law, it's not going to work out. And that's a contest that's been going on for thousands of years, the good and the bad and the natural law. But we're up against right now in this country groups of people that said, you guys, you believe in this truth thing. You're always seeking truth. What is right and wrong? And they actually have a philosophy. Marxism is based on this. They don't have it. Don't waste your time trying to find out what truth is, because there is no truth. So what does that do? Opens up the door to tyranny. You know, that's what they do. It's an open up the force. That's where we are. And then the bubbles. And I see it as a moral bankruptcy and a financial bankruptcy. And it does end, and it is ending. This bubble's going to burst. The biggest question is, how are they going to survive? How will we survive? And that is what we don't know. If it isn't connected with maximizing and the understanding of liberty, it's not going to work. And so sometimes this has gone through history at times, and sometimes that we'll end up getting a worse government. So if things don't come along where they decide that the principles of limited government and personal freedom, if that's not acceptable, we're all going to suffer more. We see some of the results, in our cities now, with more homeless people and all this. That's the payment that is coming back. But I also see, I'm really an optimist on this, because I do believe when I see a crowd like this, that if you're indicating the possibility that some of them came because they heard the principles of liberty, that would excite me. And I think there are people that get excited about liberty. And at one time somebody came up to me and said, oh, you're a politician that wants to legalize marijuana. And I pretended I was very resentful about it. I said, oh, no, you have it wrong. I never said legalize marijuana. I said legalize freedom of choice.
We're with the great Dr. Ron Paul here. Ron, want to get your sentiments, your idea. Oh, the applause. Wild here for Dr. Ron Paul. Dr. Paul, is there a candidate that can go far enough to solve some of these issues facing America? Is there a candidate in this election that has impressed you?
Oh, yeah, about 10. Well, I don't get into the personalities. I think we get lost sometimes at one time because I was never a person in politics. I was a person that was enthusiastic, that I wanted to speak out, and that was a vehicle. So I don't deal with parties, but I go out and see people and talk to people, and I've met Trump, and the one thing about Trump, and this may be talking out of school, he might say, you shouldn't be talking about our conversation, that his personality was different. He was much more cordial than I ever believed. You know.
Well, people in person, they make a different impression.
No, it was different. Some people would interpret his personality differently, but I really try to avoid it. You know, if anybody wants to talk about freedom, and I can have an influence, then I'm interested.
Well, we're here with Dr. Ron Paul. We're going to send it over to the main stage. Of course, his legacy lives on in the conversations here at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee, minutes away from Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States, taking the stage. We'll be right back with fast reactions of what happens on stage here at the Mara News Desk. Dr. Paul, thank you so much for joining us, and another round of applause from everyone. It was great.
Good to see everybody.
The dollar will dramatically lose its purchasing power. The more they print, the more it gets diluted.
Who it's good for is the people at the tippy top.
Because in order to keep the system going, they have to keep printing money.
And Bitcoin is that tool that allows us to beat the money printer.
Bitcoin is powerful in a way that is money that does not discriminate.
Bitcoin is built by the people for the people.
We're in a phased transition of society. It's more than a financial revolution.
Government fiat currency is not just money. It steals from the poor and gives it to the rich.
If you don't have the choice of how you spend or save your money, you don't live in a free society.
If you have cell phones and smartphone, you can have your bank with you everywhere.
All right. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. How are we feeling? Nashville, how are we feeling? I can't hear you. Let's make some noise. That's better. That's better. We are moments away from seeing President Donald J. Trump, but before then, we have a quick announcement. I would like to tell you all, first of all, from the bottom of our team's hearts at the BTC Inc., the Bitcoin Conference, and Bitcoin Magazine, thank you. Thank you for coming to witness this historic moment. Thank you for coming to celebrate Bitcoin. We are so excited to have you here, and we're so excited as well to have you next year. We want to give you a quick video. Let's roll it. Big announcement.
Next year, we are bringing the Bitcoin Conference to the American West, Las Vegas. The brightest minds in the world will converge to deliver Bitcoin history. Buy your tickets now at b.tc/2025.
We cannot wait to see you in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce CEO of BTC Inc., the man, the myth, the legend, David Bailey. Please come on out.
Hello. Wow. Wow. We've come a long ways in 10 years. This crowd is insane. Are y'all having fun? You know, as Dr. Paul always said, it's an idea whose time has come. Bitcoin is an idea whose time has come. So I want to thank the leadership of Donald Trump for coming out, supporting us, supporting our cause. And I also want to give him a special thanks, and I'd like all of you to give him a special thanks for committing to commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence on day one of his administration. This crowd is insane. Let's go. You know, I remember the first Bitcoin conference I went to. There was, I don't know, 800 people there. I think there's 8,000 people in this room. You know, this is a special moment in time. You can feel the energy here. The fact that we have 10 US senators here, we have 2 presidential candidates here. Bitcoin is the future of this country. And it's not a red party thing, and it's not a blue party thing. It's an orange party thing. So with that, I want to show y'all something. You know, who better than the man himself, Donald J. Trump, to lead the Orange Party? But we also wanted to give him a little gift from the Bitcoin community. So I'm holding in my hand a Cassasius coin from 2013. Okay, there's 1 Bitcoin on here. A Bitcoin OG flew halfway around the world to come and deliver this for the president. So on behalf of the entire Bitcoin community, I want to give Donald Trump a Bitcoin, non-custodial Bitcoin, and I want us to officially greet him as a Bitcoiner. So with that, I don't know if he's ready yet. We're going to be joined by the 45th and hopefully 47th President of the United States.
All right.
Not ready yet. Not ready yet.
It's not me. I'm not the President of the United States. Maybe someday. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited. We are just waiting for everything to be ready. Give us a little time. We're going to play some music. We'll be right back. Any minute now, don't worry.
Jordi Montez, please proceed to the exit immediately. Jordi Montez. Jordi Montez, once again, please proceed to your nearest exit. Jordi Montez, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing a small delay of roughly 20 minutes. Thank you for your patience.
Editor at Bitcoin Magazine. The script is out the window. The main event of Bitcoin 2024 was minutes away. We're waiting for Donald J. Trump and potentially a special guest. Expectations are high. Strategic Bitcoin reserve potentially on the table. RFK yesterday making history with an aggressive policy plan, calling on America to stockpile 4 million Bitcoin. Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy making the same appeal. We've got a new round of panelists to discuss as we await history to happen on the Nakamoto stage. I've got Matt Odell to my left, founder of 1031 Ventures. We've got Mr. Mike Germano, president of Bitcoin Magazine, and Q Gahimi. You know him as our roving reporter on the stream. He's been around the venue, talking with people, getting into the expectations, the insights, everything that's been going on. Obviously, a big announcement on stage before the waiting period that we're now entering, that Donald J. Trump is now a Bitcoiner. The Bitcoin community banding together to gift 1 Bitcoin to Donald J. Trump. Mike, your reaction to this news?
Rizzo, I really appreciate you calling on me first as I came running over here from the main stage.
Boy, that's because you know what happened in the room.
Yes. So, folks, one of the wonderful things that are happening here, if you not see, there's a massive line that's outside because obviously 4 weeks ago, we weren't even expecting to have
I mean, I've seen the video. It looks absolutely wild. Is there people really lined up outside the block right now?
Oh, there's people outside the block. The room is full. It's to capacity. You know, we had to once again deal with fire codes. I want to say thank you to the Secret Service that did an unbelievable job here at the event. Not only were we excited that RFK got his Secret Service detail, which he deserved, but obviously they're paying a little bit more attention with President Trump now at Secret Service. So, you know, we have our expo hall. We have all the main stages. So going through Secret Service, you actually have to go through TSA. So I don't think Bitcoiners would ever expect having to go through TSA. Matt Odell's a big fan of TSA. So
Proof
he's really
that
excited
election 2024 has come to Bitcoin 2024. Q, you're joining us from the floor. You've been covering all aspects of this venue. Maybe take us into what's happening outside. Right now, we're just seeing a room of energized people, people looking at TV screens, lined up to try to get in to see Donald J. Trump, to see this special guest, waiting. What are you seeing?
I mean, look, we got in here very early in the morning, and from the start, before doors were even open, people were lining up in anticipation of this talk. People immediately, they got in, they didn't want to do anything else. They went straight to the screenings, went down into the Nakamoto stage, and I saw people with books. I saw people like prepared to camp to make sure that they can just stay there all day to have seats to watch this historic event transpire. Never in any of the Bitcoin conferences that I've been to have I seen anything like this. We're making history today.
Of course, the waiting is building expectation. Is this raising the stakes for what Donald Trump has to say on stage? Mike?
He's a showman. Donald Trump's a showman, right? I mean, I'm expecting it to come out with like, money, 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 money. Like this is, you know, this guy, you know, he's an apprentice. He's teaching us a lot. He's a showman. I think he's building up the hype. And right now, you know, I want to point out Ron Paul, who's a doctor, you know, the good doctor. He kind of ran as fast as he could over there, and he's in the hall with everybody. He got a wondrous applause when he came in. And right now, we're actually finally the live stream is being broadcasted to everybody in that room. So we want to thank everybody, for waiting. We are working on it. There's obviously a lot of security, which is exciting, and we are definitely not buying time up here. We're taking this very seriously.
Well, we're really working through the issues. We're talking about the policy proposal that Trump might put forth. Of course, already a slew of public statements from Donald Trump since his reversal earlier this year on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Of course, his big issues, energy independence, coming out against CBDCs, recognizing that we're a growing industry and constituency, and really maybe the biggest one, he doesn't want to lose a foreign advantage that we might have in the international stage. Matt, why don't you take us in?
I want to see the president lead us forward on the next generation of American success. I want to see America become the best country in the world to run a Bitcoin business. I want to see America become the best place in the world to be an open source developer. And and I want to see America start stacking the hardest asset that the world has ever seen in a big way.
Well, a lot of talk that this might really be a 1990s moment for Bitcoin, really the internet becoming mainstream during that decade, breaking through and with legislation in America, really powering economic productivity for the next decade. Q, your thoughts on how what Donald J. Trump might say on stage might compare to this time period where we know America embraced innovation and could do so again?
I mean, we are bearing witness to the game theory playing out in real time. When Jack Mallers announced El Salvador adopting Bitcoin in 22, it was an incredible moment. The euphoria in that room sends chills down my spine just talking about it. I could not imagine that just 2 years later we would even be remotely having this conversation about America potentially having some sort of adoption, looking towards it. Germano's getting jumpy. Go ahead.
You know, the only thing, I think we're talking about what Trump's going to do. There's one thing that Trump needs to do. The one thing he promised is he needs to free Ross on day one.
Right.
That is the one thing that he needs to do. And my hope is when he gets in, he free Rosses on day one. And then when we look at Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas, there's only one person that everyone's going to want to see speak, and that will be Ross.
So let's talk about Ross Ulbricht, founder of Silk Road. Of course, the reason that many people became Bitcoiners. Maybe, Matt, you can speak to Ross and his importance to this community and why so many people champion his cause.
I mean, I think at the core of the issue here is Ross has been in jail, often in solitary confinement, for 15 years now. It was a nonviolent crime. He was running a Bitcoin-powered drug marketplace, and I think it crosses party lines, the fact that he has done more than enough time served. President Trump has promised to commute his sentence day one, and that's a key point there. Not pardon his sentence, not say he was not guilty, but commute it for time served. I would really like to see that. I will say that that falls under the context of believing a presidential candidate's campaign promises. I will say a lot of other things President Trump can announce today, actually, he doesn't even need to fulfill for it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is part of the reason it makes it such a crazy moment. And the fact alone that President Trump has come down to Nashville, to the largest Bitcoin conference in the world, to talk about Bitcoin and talk about innovation in America is a massive achievement in itself that not enough people appreciate at this moment, but they will appreciate in 2 decades. They will appreciate in 3 decades. They will look back on it and be like, that was it. That was the paradigm shift right there.
We're waiting for Donald J. Trump to take the main Nakamoto stage with a special guest. Of course, we're talking about something more somber, the freedom of Ross Ulbricht at stake in election 2024. Meaningful for a country and a community, but also meaningfully for a family. Mike, I know you've spent time with some of Ross's family, know the cause, know the movement. Q, this is something that people who have reported on the scene know well, the tale of Lynn Ulbricht and the family. Mike, Q, I'm wondering if you could speak to that.
I mean, look, as someone who's a parent myself, to think about not being able to see your kid is a thought I don't want to have. And so when you see Lynn, and she keeps coming every year, it makes you want to do a little bit more. It makes you do the research. It makes you be willing to wear the free T-shirts, the 10,000 T-shirts we have outside. Everybody in that auditorium right now who's wearing a T-shirt, right, they all want to see that happen too. They get to be part of this movement. And if you didn't have, a mom like Lynn, I don't think this movement would be here. And, I would like to say, even at Bitcoin Magazine, every single employee, Free Ross seems to creep up on everything. I want to give a shout out to Tommy. Tommy, our resident crazy designer, who pushed Free Ross everywhere.
Right, this has been a core advocacy push from Bitcoin Magazine. Any issue, if you go online, subscribe now, you'll find a Free Ross ad. So Mike, maybe as the publisher of Bitcoin Magazine, you can tell us why we've sent that message to so many people through our magazine.
Well, number one, it's because the magazine team always swaps out an ad and puts a Free Ross ad in anyway and doesn't tell me. So I don't have a choice. But I think that's what it means for, once again, Ross helped a lot of us maybe buy our first Bitcoin for didn't matter what reason, right? And more importantly, it's a movement that is something we're excited to get behind. And as a publisher of a print magazine, we want to just thank all the people who subscribe to it. If you didn't do that, we wouldn't have had the money to do the long-form journalism. We wouldn't have had the money to put on this event. So we really appreciate those who believe in our cause too. And so we'd have to believe in a cause like freeing Ross.
Moments away from Donald J. Trump taking the stage, we're told a special guest is on the way. We want to back up This is a historic moment. People from around the country coming in for the first time. Mike, you mentioned Dr. Ron Paul on this stage earlier today, speaking to the hundreds of thousands of people watching, really about his personal life, his crusade against central banking, about the monetary policy issues that are affecting America. And of course, the economy, such a big deal this year. People just feel like they can't get ahead. The TikTok videos going viral. People don't understand what's happening to them. So the average American voter who's coming to this for the first time, seeking answers, we say Bitcoin fixes this. What does this mean, Matt Odell?
I didn't realize you're going to call him in. I just want
you sit next to me.
I just want to say that after we free Ross, I would really like to see in the American government and across the American political spectrum, the priority be placed that America becomes a place where code is protected speech. I believe the Constitution already protects it. I believe that we have developers right now that are sitting in jail, one notably being Samurai developers, that should be freed immediately, and that protection should be in place going forward so that developers of open source software, non-custodial software that does not touch money, are not treated as money transfer businesses, and that are properly treated as protected speech writers.
Q, want to take you into this conversation. Of course, central banking, monetary policy concerns around the world. Maybe take the viewers at home into your thought process here.
I mean, everyone feels it. We all see it when we go to the grocery store. We all see it when we're trying to fill up our tank of gas. We spent some time yesterday talking about this. You would be hard-pressed to find someone who has not felt the effects of our terrible monetary decisions here in America and beyond as well. It's important to also recognize the fact that while the world relies on the dollar and we have felt inflation, the rest of the world has consistently seen higher and higher inflation than what we have stateside. So if you think it's bad here, it only gets worse and worse the further out you go. I'm going to continue to hammer this point home, but the fact of the matter is we have such a financial privilege to be in America, in the country that has the global reserve currency. Most of the world, the majority of the world is unbanked, and Bitcoin is an opportunity for them to have access to money and store their wealth in a way that they just don't have.
We're going to go to a quick break now before we're bringing up another special guest, and we are still awaiting history. It's coming, folks. Donald J. Trump in the building at the Bitcoin Conference at Music City Center here in Nashville, Tennessee. Stay with us. We'll be right back on X, YouTube, and Rumble. Stay tuned.
The Bitcoin Conference. We started with a dream to build a community focused on Bitcoin. It all started in 2019 in the heart of San Francisco, the first major Bitcoin conference in years that kickstarted a revolution. And then Miami, a place where enthusiasts, developers, dreamers, and innovators could come together to make Bitcoin better. It has been an It was time to set the stage for Bitcoin in a new city, so we took the conference on the road. Nashville, Tennessee was the obvious choice, a city known for music and freedom. Next year, the conference is hitting the road again in search of the next global stage. We are headed to a new city next year. With hyper-Bitcoinization right around the corner, we have no plans to take the foot off the gas. Find out where we are headed next. Scan the QR code and be at the main stage for the big announcement.
This is Mara, taking Bitcoin mining to the cutting edge of energy solutions. We're monetizing excess hydro energy in Paraguay, turning waste into value by reducing landfill emissions, and recycling data center heat to warm communities in Finland. With Mara, we're building the base layer of a sustainable future. To learn more, visit mara.com.
Anyone can be a part of the Bitcoin economy. It's like a good church.
Because it's an ethical ideology, there are many people that feel very spiritual about it.
I think that Bitcoin has those characteristics to be not just the most Islamic form of money, but the most Jewish and the most Christian form of money as well.
Bitcoin is just another step in the technological development of how we can serve God better.
It is trying to remove politics from money. Bitcoin can make the world a better place.
Welcome back to the Mara News Desk, powered by Bitcoin Magazine. Once again, I'm your host, Pete Rizzo, editor of Bitcoin Magazine. The main event of Bitcoin 2024 history is coming, folks. Donald J. Trump in the building. You've seen the pictures of the motorcade, the videos, people lined up around the block. History is happening. Without a slight delay, we've got a special guest here to tell us a little bit about some Bitcoin basics. We know there's hundreds of thousands of people watching at home, many maybe learning about Bitcoin for the first time. Aaron Van Werdum, technical editor of Bitcoin Magazine, here to explain Bitcoin versus crypto in his own words.
Yes, so we have a Bitcoin conference, we have Bitcoin Magazine, so why do we focus on Bitcoin? Or what is the difference between Bitcoin and crypto? Well, when Satoshi Nakamoto first launched Bitcoin, it was truly the first of its kind. But it was also open source, so anyone could check the code, but also copy it and make edits. So this started happening early on. People started to copy Bitcoin and make tweaks to it. At first, these tweaks weren't very interesting. They had a different number of coins or a different hashing algorithm to create these coins, but they were very similar. Later on, some more ambitious projects came up that entered new futures, that had new futures that Bitcoin did not have. So that raised the question, what is the real innovation here? Is the innovation Bitcoin? Or is the innovation cryptocurrency more generally? So these copies are called altcoins, and Bitcoin and altcoins both that as cryptocurrencies. Is it about Bitcoin or is it about cryptocurrencies? Well, some people will say the more the merrier. Let the free market figure out.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business, complicated business. Join me in welcoming Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States, and soon to be the 47th President of the United States.
Hello, Bitcoiners. Thank you very much. Hello. It's good to be with you. It's good to be with you. So, Secret Service just told me, sir, would like a little more time. I said, you take all the time you want. You can take 2 hours, 3 hours, the hell with the people that have been waiting out here. But I'm sure they don't mind either. But it is a great honor, and a lot of things are happening in the world. We just heard, you probably heard, that Israel was just attacked, very severely attacked. And Hezbollah, looks like. And this is things that won't happen. I mean, you just can't. They have to respect us. They have to respect. They cannot do this. They cannot do this. What they did just now with that attack is terrible. Just happened. And so to all, God bless everybody. This is so serious. They have to respect our country. This would never have happened with us, and we just cannot let it continue. So we just wish them all a lot of luck. This happened to us as I'm walking on the stage. You probably, most of you have heard about it, but it just, it's a terrible thing. But I'm thrilled to be here in Nashville to become the first American president ever to address a Bitcoin event anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. I want to thank David Bailey for inviting me, special guy. You know, this whole love affair sort of started. David, about 4 months ago, was at Mar-a-Lago. I took a picture with him. I mean, he's a nice-looking guy. He's okay. He's out here someplace. But I took a picture. It got published, Trump and David Bailey. All of a sudden, your industry went through the roof. So, David, congratulations. Whatever the hell you do, you did a hell of a job. But as well as all of the Bitcoin luminaries and legends here, you have a legends in this room. They really are. Congratulations. Would the legends please stand up? Oh, everyone's standing anyway. That's nice. I used to say, sit down, everybody, sit down. But it's nice when they stand, including Tyler and Cameron. Do you know who that is? Winklevoss. These are great guys. They look like male models with a brain, you know? They're male models with a big, beautiful brain. Michael Saylor is here. Kathy Wood. Ron Paul and Rand Paul are here. Vivek is here. Vivek Ramaswamy. Where's Vivek? Where are you, Vivek? There he is. He's great. A man that I call Bob, but you probably know him as Kid Rock. Where's Kid Rock? Where is he? He's great. He's a good guy and a talented guy and another talented guy. He was so incredible, this one. He went and he played at the funeral of a great fireman who was killed, fire chief, killed a week and a half ago at the rally. And Billy Ray Cyrus went and played music for the family, and it was supposed to be so incredible. I've heard so many things about it. And Billy Ray Cyrus is here. Where's Billy Ray? He's around here someplace. And he's great. He's a conservative guy. I said, how did you get such a liberal daughter? How did that happen, Billy Ray? And by the way, Kid Rock was incredible at the convention. You probably saw him. You saw him? He was great. He was great. Another one, Jake Paul. You don't want to fight this guy. You know, you don't want to fight. He's got a big fight coming with Mike Tyson. But he's glad he didn't fight Mike when Mike was 19. He told me that today. But he's a fantastic guy, very talented guy in a lot of ways. Governor Joe Lombardo, who's fantastic, and we're doing well in his state. And he's going to make sure that there's no hanky-panky going on. And if that happens, we're going to win his great state. But you know who he is, and he's a fantastic governor. Senators Bill Haggerty, Marsha Blackburn, Cynthia Lummis, Tim Scott. And Tim was great. Boy, I'll tell you, he was such a strong voice for me. He was on so many shows and did such a great job during the primaries. He was incredible. I want to thank him, special guy. They're all special people. They're warriors. Tommy Tuberville, you know Tommy Tuberville, senator from Alabama. And you have many members of Congress, Andy Ogles, Thomas Massey, John Rose, Mark Green and French Hill, and the next U.S. Senator from Ohio. I hear he's doing very well, Bernie Moreno. Where is Bernie? I hear Bernie's doing well. The great Laura Loomer. Some of you know Laura. She's a fantastic person, great woman. And a tremendous developer from New York and Florida, one of the best, Steve Witkoff, and he's got his son Alex with him today. That's an incredible family, development family. They've been supporters from the beginning. Howard Lutnick, Cantor Fitzgerald, incredible, one of the truly brilliant men of Wall Street, and a whole group of his distinguished guests and a lot of our distinguished guests. We have a lot of other people here, and I won't bother anymore. That's enough, because we have to talk about crypto. We have to talk about Bitcoin. We have to talk about all these great companies. But our country is blessed to have the extraordinary talent, energy, and genius represented in this room. It really is great genius. Not all of you, but most of you, many of you. But this is the kind of spirit that built America, and this is the spirit that's going to help us make America great again. That's what we're doing. I stand before you today filled with respect and admiration for what the Bitcoin community has achieved. It's incredible, actually. I sort of say to my sons, it's like incredible because they know so much about it. They're so aware of it, much more so than people that are a little bit older. But I say this is the steel industry of 100 years ago. It really is. I think you're just in your infancy. I can see it happening. In just 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from merely an idea posted anonymously on an internet message board to being the 9th most valuable asset anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? Is that right? That's a big deal. Think of that. It's already bigger than ExxonMobil. Soon it will be surpassing the entire market cap of silver. It's not bad. How about gold? How about gold? Let's go gold. And one day it probably will overtake gold, but based on the way it's going now, it could very well be a possibility. There's never been anything like it, and I don't think you've ever seen anything like it. And most people have no idea what the hell it is. You know that, right? So what happens when they figure it out? That's going to really be something. Bitcoin is not just a marvel of technology. As you know, it's a miracle of cooperation and human achievement and a lot of relationships that are formed. I just did a meeting, a roundtable with a lot of the leaders, and it's amazing. There's a great camaraderie. It's really interesting. Obviously there's competition, but there's a relationship, there's a friendship that's developed with a lot of these people. I noticed it. I don't usually see that too often. I see the opposite, actually. They want to get each other. They want to kill each other. These guys have a great feeling. Very smart people, too. Congratulations on all that you've accomplished. This room is amazing. The people in this room, high IQ individuals. I'm running against a low IQ individual, her. I'm not even talking about him, her. I got a low IQ individual. The reason I've come to address the Bitcoin community today can be summed up in two very simple words: America first. Because if we don't do it, China's going to be doing, others are going to be doing it. Let's do it and do it right. My vision is for an America that dominates the future. We have the best economy, the highest standard of living, the safest and most beautiful cities. And by the way, when I say safest, our cities are going to hell right now. Our cities are going to hell. We're going to fix our cities. We're going to work with Democrats that have destroyed our cities, but we'll work with them, and we're going to get our cities back. We're going to bring our country back. And we really were the freest and the most ambitious, most dynamic nation ever to exist on Earth, and we're going to get that back again because we're not there now. We're a nation in decline. You know it, we know it, doesn't sound nice, but it's okay because we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back fast. Right now, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing what's happened. Even today, when you look at what we just said, that would never have happened if they respected our country. If we don't embrace crypto and Bitcoin technology, China will, other countries will, they'll dominate, and we cannot let China dominate. They are making too much progress as it is. And we want them to be successful. I don't want China to be successful, but we have to be the most successful. That's what's gonna happen. I want the United States to be first in technology, first in science, first in manufacturing, first in artificial intelligence, and first in space. You know, at MIT, my uncle was a professor there, Dr. John Trump. He would have fit in with this room very nicely, actually. That's why I mention it. And I believe he was the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT. He graduated. We have a very intelligent family, actually. He graduated tremendously. I think he has 3 different degrees, but they said, would you like to stay on, John, and be a professor? Well, I've got a lot of offers, I assume he said, but I've got a lot of offers. Well, he was there for, I believe, 41 years. When I was in the White House, the head of MIT came to see me, and they presented me with a book on my uncle. He was a legendary guy in the academic world and in the world of MIT. So I understand a lot about what you're doing, and I have great respect for highly intelligent people. And you are highly intelligent. America's destiny is to lead our rivals in everything and to surrender our industries to no one, You know, some of you are involved with AI, but you also have the same thing. You need a thing called electricity. You need a lot of electricity. You know, AI needs to be really dominant, and China can do it much easier. We have environmental impact statements to do, but we're going to do things that nobody thought were possible. You need tremendous amounts of electricity. You need double the electricity of the entire electricity that we have right now in the United States to dominate, and we'll get that done. Who would think we can get that done? But we're going to get it done. We'll be having power plants built at the sites. We'll be releasing people from certain ridiculous requirements, and we'll be using fossil fuel to make electricity because we're going to have to. We'll be using nuclear. We'll be doing it in an environmentally friendly way. But we will be creating so much electricity that you'll be saying, please, please, President, we don't want any more electricity. We can't stand it. You'll be begging me, no more electricity, sir. We have enough. We have enough. You know, in the Midwest, they just opened, it was very interesting, they just opened up 2 chargers, you know, a charger for the electric cars. And you know, I love Elon. He's great. He endorsed me, and great endorsement and everything else. But not everybody has to have an electric car. I told him that. So we're going to get rid of that mandate, if you don't mind. Some people want gasoline-propelled cars. Some people want a hybrid. And some people like an electric car. They're great. I think they're great. I think what he's done is great. And I think he understands it. I guess he probably wouldn't have endorsed me. He knows where I am in this. But he did. And it's just like they did these chargers in the Midwest. There are 8 of them. They spent $9 billion to build 8 chargers to charge up a car. And at that rate, it would cost approximately $12 trillion to put the charges in. Somehow that's not working. The country would have to file for Chapter 11. We'll do a chapter, you know, it's called Chapter 7 instead of a Chapter 11, but it's the equivalent. No, we have to use our brain. We have to be, we are the party of common sense, okay? We have to have common sense. But what we do have to do is we have to produce tremendous electric for AI and for all of the other things, including the things that you're doing, and we'll get it produced, and we're going to get it produced fast, or we're not going to be able to compete with China and other countries. So we're going to get it produced fast. This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done. If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen. No, you're going to be very happy with me. You're going to be so happy. You're going to say he's the greatest guy. That's why I'm proud to be the first major party nominee in American history to accept donations in Bitcoin and crypto. And they've made a lot of them, I might tell you, and I appreciate it. Since we made that announcement on May 21st, we have already raised $25 million, much of it in Bitcoin, crypto, and others that are very, very good also. But as you know, our excitement about the future of Bitcoin and crypto could not be more difficult from the approach of our opponents. Can't be, look, our opponents have gone a difficult route. They're going old-fashioned stuff. We're going to take it right down the middle. We are so different from anybody else in terms of a campaign. First of all, we understand it. They don't understand it. They are blocking your path. They're blocking your way. But I've made it a lot easier for you because the SEC has been very, very tough on you. And now they see that you've embraced me. All of a sudden, people that were under investigation, they're being let go. They're saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that. We love crypto. Let me tell you, if they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious. They will be ruthless. They will do things that you wouldn't believe. But right now, because of me, they're leaving you alone. So please say thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much. And the reason they're doing that is I've heard from some of your great geniuses that talk to me about this subject. I've heard from Vivek. 175 million people in some form are involved with this world of crypto and Bitcoin and all of the others, 175 million. So when they heard that, they said, let's be nice to them, at least until after the election. So I've taken a lot of pressure off a lot of people. A lot of people are very happy today that about 3 months ago weren't so thrilled. For 3.5 years, is that right? Look, he just said that's right. And you know it's right. For 3.5 years, the current administration has waged a war on crypto and Bitcoin like nobody's ever seen before. For those who work in this industry, they target your banks, they choke off your financial services. Have people seen that? Yes? Yeah, they have. Plenty of hands up. They block ordinary Americans from transferring money to your exchanges. They slander you as criminals. But that happened to me, too, because I said the election was rigged. He said the election was rigged. He should spend the rest of his life in jail for making that statement. Of course, they say it about us, and it's okay, right? No. And by the way, we're doing very well in the election. You know, we lost a candidate recently, crooked Joe Biden. And I thought, we lost this wonderful person. You know, he's actually a terrible human being, if you want to know the truth, so don't feel sorry. And we have another he's the worst human being, and I sort of made an analogy last night. Last night, think of this, I was speaking in front of a very powerful and very strong, very religious group, Christians, evangelicals, Christians. And then today, I come in front of Bitcoin, and now I'm going to Minnesota to do a rally. You think my life is so great, don't you, huh? But I cover a lot of territory. I go from religion to Bitcoin to a rally. And I don't get it mixed up like other people do. Where they come out and they say, may God bless everybody involved in the Bitcoin world. But actually, we mean that because you need blessing, because you've got to do something very spectacular. But we had an incredible time last night talking to Christians, largely Christians, a Christian group. And this is so great. And then we have a very big rally in Minnesota. Hasn't been one since 1972. Richard Nixon, can you believe it? And I think we're leading Minnesota. But there's some hanky-panky that goes on in Minnesota. But I think we're doing good. So We're going to leave here. We're going to go there for a big rally, but this is such an honor to be with you. Sadly, when we see the attacks on crypto, it's a part of a much larger pattern that's being carried out by the same left-wing fascists who weaponize government against any threat to their power. They've done it to me. Did you see I just won the big case in Florida? Thank you very much. The big case was won. Thank you very much. Good. Now, it's a big case. That was the document case. I have Presidential Records Act on my side. Biden didn't. By the way, Biden, they said, here's what they said. They said, he's guilty as hell, but we're not going to charge him because he's incompetent. I won the case the old-fashioned way. It's called you win. I wouldn't have wanted to win the way he won. Trump won the case because they called him incompetent. Think of this. So they called him incompetent. So he's incompetent to run for trial, to stand trial, but he's not incompetent to run the country. How does that work? But he's not doing it anymore because he didn't do particularly well in the debate. Did anybody watch the debate? Not too many people. Somebody said to me, you did horribly in the debate. I said, why? He said, because there's no way he can continue forward. That's how bad he was. I said, I understand that, and that's exactly what happened, actually. We had a great debate. It was a tremendous debate, actually, and since then, hey, look, you have to open the eyes. You have to see what's going on. We have a country to run. The problem is that Kamala is worse than Joe. She's worse. She's a radical left lunatic, defund the police, all of the different things. And so far she's got a little honeymoon going on right now, but when people hear about her, and she's against crypto, by the way, and she's against it very big. So I just want to let you know, you got to get out. You got to get out and vote. It should be no surprise that these same totalitarians are hell-bent on crushing crypto and obliterating, and that's what they want to do, and that's what they are stated. Well, I mean, they're there right now. You have the SEC, you know what they're doing, obliterating Bitcoin. The reason could not be more clear because Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government, coercion, and control. The Biden-Harris administration's repression of crypto and Bitcoin is wrong, and it's very bad for our country. It's really quite un-American. As you know, 6 days ago, we officially defeated the worst president in the history of the United States. I believe he was the worst president in the history of the United States. Think of it. Millions and millions of people have come into our country. They've come in from jails. They've come in from, think of it, insane asylums, mental institutions. They've come in as terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. The same people that you just heard about from Israel, that did that in Israel, they're coming in and nobody checks them. Nobody knows what's going on. We have no idea what's going on. They've lost control of our country, and only bad things can happen. So it's not going to be that way. We're not going to let that happen. We're beating them, and we're beating them badly, and we have to make sure that we do. We need to do it for our country. And you can't just be a fighter and have your man lose the fight, or woman, but in this case, a man. He's losing the fight. He's down by 15, 16, 17 points. They say that you're not going to win, Joe. You got to get out. He didn't want to get out. He said, I'm not getting out. He said, you're getting out. He said, I'm not getting out. I got 14 million votes. I'm not getting out. They said, if you're not getting out, we're going to institute the 25th Amendment on your mental competence. He said, like I said before, I think I'm going to get out. Okay? And they got him out. But it's like, think of this. You fight, you're in a campaign. You spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and he's losing. And then they say, let's take him out of the fight. We'll put a new fighter in there. The new fighter is her, probably my second choice. He will always be my first choice, but she'd be my second choice. And again, if we don't win this race, and I know you're not that political, but you have to be political because your whole thing, I mean, you have a lot of politics involved in what you do. If we don't win this race, this country could be finished as we know it. This country is going to be in bad shape, and we have to be in there. We have to fight, and we have to win. And I pledge to the Bitcoin community that the day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. It will end. It'll be done. It'll be done. The moment I'm sworn in, the persecution stops and the weaponization ends against your industry. And as long as I'm in the Oval Office, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, do you remember? Yes, I'm an Indian. She said, I'm an Indian. Why are you an Indian? You don't look like an Indian. No, my mother told me I have high cheekbones. Oh, that's why she was an Indian. So I named her Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren and her goons, and she's very nasty to you. She hates your people. She hates everything about you, will keep their hands off Bitcoin. They're going to keep their hands off crypto. They're going to let it grow. We're going to let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman. I didn't know he was that unpopular. Wow. I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa. And we'll appoint a new SEC chairman who believes America should build the future, not block the future, which is what they're doing. And Kamala Harris wants to make him Treasury Secretary. That's not good. That's not good. He was Hillary Clinton's finance person. Did you know that? Crooked Hillary. Remember Crooked Hillary? Do you remember her? Anybody remember? He was the finance chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign against a gentleman known as Donald Trump. Not a popular person within the... Actually, she came to my wedding. Do you know that? To our great First Lady, Melania. She came to our wedding, and Bill came to our wedding. But it's amazing things when you run for office, a lot of things change in your life. A lot of things change. As president, I will immediately shut down Operation Choke Point 2.0. They want to choke you. They want to choke you out of business. We're not going to let that happen. And no longer will your government sit by and watch as Bitcoin jobs and businesses flee to other countries because America's laws are too unclear and too tough and too angry and too stiff. We will keep each and every Bitcoin job in the United States of America. That's what we're going to be doing. Upon taking office, I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and Crypto Presidential Advisory Council. Would anybody like to be on that particular council? Please raise your hand. Their task will be to design transparent regulatory guidance for the benefit of the entire industry, and they will get it done in 100 days. We will have regulations, but from now on, the rules will be written by people who love your industry, not hate your industry, people that want to make it clear and simple, straightforward and fair, people that want to see your industry thrive, not dive. Next, I will immediately order the Treasury Department and other federal agencies to cease and desist all steps necessary, because, you know, there's a thing going on in your industry. They want to move the creation of a central bank digital currency. It's over. Forget it. CBDC. There will never be a CBDC while I'm president of the United States. And I will always defend the right to self-custody. Self-custody. You're going to have a great industry. You're going to have a great industry, and we're going to be fuel for your industry, not demolish your industry. America will once again be a nation that protects property rights, privacy, freedom of transaction, freedom of association, and freedom of speech. We're going to we're going to go back to the old days when we were a nation that was building, not a nation that was eating itself alive from within. As part of our effort to provide regulatory clarity, we will create a framework to enable the safe and responsible expansion of stable coins. Do you know what a stable coin is? Does anybody know? Please raise your hand. Allowing us to extend the dominance of the US dollar to new frontiers all around the world. America will be richer, the world will be better, and there will be billions and billions of people brought into crypto economy and storing their savings in Bitcoin. So that's the way it is. That's pretty much the way it is. Those who say that Bitcoin is a threat to the dollar have the story exactly backwards. I believe it is exactly backwards. Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The behavior of the current US government is really threatening the dollar. The danger to our financial future does not come from crypto. It comes from Washington, D.C. It comes from trillions of dollars in waste, rampant inflation, and open borders while giving welfare and free health care to all of the illegal aliens that are pouring into our country by the millions and millions and millions. It comes from printing hundreds of billions of dollars to fund endless wars overseas while our cities are like combat zones here at home. 2 weeks ago in Chicago, 117 people were shot and 17 died. Afghanistan doesn't have anything like that. You know, you think about tough places. Look at what's happening with our cities. What's happening in the last 3 years, last 3.5 years. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Think of it, 117 over 4th of July weekend. 117 people were shot and 17 died. This is the United States of America? I don't think so. By the way, when I was president, we had no wars. We had no new wars. We didn't start it. Remember when Hillary said, he'll start wars. Look at his personality. No, I said, my personality will keep us out of wars. But we finished off some of the old ones like ISIS, which they said would take 5 years to do, maybe more. We did it in 4 weeks. We beat ISIS in 4, because we have a great military. And it's not a woke military, by the way. Maybe some of the people on top are woke, but this is not a woke. I got to see that first when I looked at what they did and what they did for me, they were unbelievable. They did things that nobody thought were possible. Our real generals and our soldiers, there's no woke. They're trying to get them to be woke, but these people are not going to go woke, I can guarantee you that. With your support this November, we will restore confidence and we will restore common sense to our nation's capital. Because ultimately, it is about, it's not, are you conservative? Are you liberal? Are you progressive? They like progressive. It sounds so nice, right? It'll destroy our country. It's actually become a terrible word. It'll destroy our country. But it's not about that. It's about common sense. We want to bring common sense back in. This is all common sense that we're talking about today. And Bitcoin and crypto will skyrocket like never before, even beyond your expectations. And you are the people that are doing it. As we stop the war on crypto, we will immediately, and we'll do this very quickly, begin to build our economy, because when America is prospering, Bitcoin is soaring, and it'll go up with it. We had the greatest economy ever, and we will soon have it again. Under the Trump administration, the typical middle-class family income rose by $6,000 a year. People don't like mentioning that. America had more money to save than at any time in many decades. As a result, during my 4 years in office, now you have to listen to these numbers. These numbers are like beautiful. And I don't want to repeat myself. Listen to these numbers. As a result, during my 4 years in office, Bitcoin surged by 3,900% from $898 the day I took office to $35,900 the day I left. That was the biggest jump, I guess, in just about any industry. Think of that. Now compare that to just after 3.5 years of Biden and Harris, adjusted for inflation, Bitcoin is up 50%. Now 50% sounds good, but not when you're comparing it to almost 4,000%, right? 50%. You know, normally you say, oh, that sounds pretty good. Let's not put that into the speech. No, 50% is not good. When people can't afford groceries or rent, they have no savings to store in Bitcoin. This administration caused the biggest inflation in the history of our country, and that's what's happened. Our people are being wiped out. From the very first day we take back the White House, we will replace the Biden-Harris economic stagnation with a brand new Trump economic boom. You're going to have a tremendous boom. You know, you have a lot of great analysts out there. Scott, I'm talking about you, Scott, one of the greatest of all, and others that say the stock market's going up because they think Trump is going to be elected. And if Trump isn't elected, this country's going to go into a depression the likes of what you had in 1929. And I hope that's not true, but I can understand it, and I can understand what they're saying. The stock market gain, they think, is because looks like we're going to win the election. And I don't know what's going to happen with the election. You know, they cheat like hell, and I don't know what's going to happen. But if we win it, this country is going to be boomtown. It's going to be booming like it never boomed before. The current administration's economic plan includes trillions in new spending and $5 trillion tax hikes. They want to increase taxes by $5 trillion. They want the expiration of the Trump tax cuts to take place. They want a wealth confiscation tax so that when you make all of your money that you're going to make and all of the people you're going to employ, they want to take away your money in the form of a first-time ever tax and a gigantic capital gains tax that will exceed substantially in many states over 50%. My plan is the opposite. We will lift the workers and we will create savers out of so many people, and we will reward success. We will not punish success. They want to punish success. They want to punish genius. I'm not going to let that happen. I will make the Trump tax cuts permanent and deliver massive tax cuts for families and individuals and businesses that produce jobs. That includes no tax on tips. You know that, right? Going to get rid of the tax on tips. I will cut unnecessary and burdensome regulations, fight every day to make America the best place on earth to build a business, including a crypto business. It's going to be the best place. You're not going to have to go to China. You're not going to have to learn, gee, how do I learn Chinese? I want to learn it very quickly. I have a little granddaughter that speaks fluent Chinese. Can you believe it? And it's a wonderful thing, but it's not easy, but you're not going to have to do it. Most importantly for our citizens, we will end the inflation nightmare that this administration has created, and we will end it quickly. It's got to end. It's destroying our country. You know, inflation is a country buster. You can go back many, many years to Germany, and you look at what happened to Germany during their huge period of inflation, destroyed the country. It's a country buster. The Bitcoiners, and I say to you that you recognize the dangers of inflation long before most others did. You understood inflation, frankly, better than anybody else. You know that, don't you? If only they had listened. They didn't listen to you. They didn't listen to you. The trillions of dollars in ridiculous waste approved by our opponents resulted in the very inflation disaster that Bitcoiners had always predicted. 20, 30, and even 40% of the value of every dollar was wiped out, and wiped out quickly. You understood that, but a lot of other people didn't. The life savings of millions of Americans was rapidly destroyed. And very simply, uncontrolled inflation is a stealth taxation of the middle class. It really is. It's a stealth taxation. I call it the Biden tax. Now I'll call it the Harris tax, or the Harris-Biden tax, or whatever the hell we're going to call them. But it's a disaster. It's a tax of 50%. It's a 50% tax. Inflation, think of it, it's a 50% tax on people, 50. This is a human tragedy, and it's destroyed people. It's a national disgrace. It's destroyed everything in its way. It must never be allowed to happen again, and it won't. When I'm president, I guarantee you it won't happen, because we're going to do things that make sure it doesn't happen. They've allowed pricing to get totally out of control. We're going to do energy, bring it down to levels that people have not seen in many, many years. We had it at levels. We were at $1.87 for a gallon of gasoline. You don't see that right now. For 4 straight years, under my leadership, we had effectively no inflation, none. When I left office, it was 1.4%, and then it stayed there for almost 2 years. Remember when Biden said it was 9? I inherited 9%. That was just another lie. Misinformation, disinformation. We gave them a hot country. We went through the COVID. We did an incredible job. Never got credit for that. Always got credit for the economy, for the military. We rebuilt the military. We created Space Force. We did so many different things. Never got credit for that. You know what? We gave them a great country with essentially no inflation. And after 2 years, they drove this country, and they drove inflation through the roof. 2 years, cost of living went up, in some cases, by over 50%. And they say 22%. They like to say 22, but it could be much higher, and it is much higher depending on what they include. They don't include things like interest rates that went from 2.5% to 10%, but you can't get the money. When I return to the White House, I will stop the wild and wasteful spending of this administration. I will end the endless wars. They never stop. Again, we had no wars. We had no new wars under your favorite president, President Trump. We had no new wars. They thought I was going to start a war. Let me tell you something. I'm going to stop World War III, because we're closer to World War III than we've ever been since the end of World War II. I will seal the border and stop the invasion of millions of people pouring into our country illegally. We will totally defeat, and we will do this quickly. We will defeat inflation, and together we will bring back the American dream for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. We will bring it back, the American dream. You don't even hear the statement American dream anymore. You don't hear those words anymore. We used to talk about the American dream. A lot of you people are in the American dream, but you're going to be crushed if you don't elect me. I hate to tell you. You don't elect me, you're going to be crushed. You're going to say, Alice, what a mistake it was. We went for a person who has no talent. She's been a failure at almost everything she's done instead of Trump. And look at us now. We're going to move into an extremely small house from our beautiful house. But we will end the war on American energy, and we will very simply drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We have to. It's what we have. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia. We don't use it. We don't use it. They use it. We don't use it. We go out and buy oil from Venezuela. It's amazing. But we won't stop there. We will harness American energy in all forms. I have set the ambitious goal that by the end of my term, the United States will be the #1 lowest cost of energy and electricity of any nation on earth. We can make it so inexpensively. Because of what we have under our feet, we can make it so inexpensively. And with low energy costs, America will become the world's undisputed Bitcoin mining powerhouse. You'll be a Bitcoin mining powerhouse. You will not have to move your family to China. You will not be moving to China. As we implement these reforms, Bitcoin and crypto will grow our economy, cement American financial dominance, and strengthen our entire country long into the future. Many Americans do not realize that the United States government is among the largest holders of Bitcoin. Does anyone know that? How about that? The federal government is almost 210,000 Bitcoin, or 1% of the total supply that will ever exist. But for too long, our government has violated the cardinal rule that every Bitcoiner knows by heart. Never sell your Bitcoin, right? That's right, isn't it, huh? That's right. How did I figure that one? Never sell your Bitcoin. And so, as the final part of my plan today, I am announcing that if I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. This will serve in effect as the core of the strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. As you know, most of the Bitcoin currently held by the United States government was obtained through law enforcement action. You know that. They took it from you. Let's take that guy's life. Let's take his family, his house, his Bitcoin. We'll turn it into Bitcoin. It's been taken away from you because that's where we're going now. That's where this country is going. It's a fascist regime. And so as I take steps to transform that vast wealth into a permanent national asset to benefit all Americans, today I repeat my pledge to commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served. It's enough. It's enough. That's where we are as a country. Ultimately, my promise to each and every one of you is this: I will be the pro-innovation and pro-Bitcoin president that America needs and our citizens deserve. This will be one industry, but this will be a thriving industry, a great industry, and I'm going to be doing the same thing for every other industry also. Our nation has never thrived by trying to censor new ideas and shut down the dreams of our people. America always plants our flag on the next frontier and pushes boldly ahead. We have to do that. We haven't been doing that for a long time, especially the last 3.5 years. It's gone the exact opposite. Those of you in this room inherit the legacy of generations of American pioneers and patriots, risk-takers and renegades who settled this continent, built the modern world, and lived on the bleeding edge. You live on a bleeding edge. You do know that, Bitcoiners, don't you? You are the modern-day Edisons and Wright brothers and Carnegies and Henry Fords, and what you do in your lifetime stands a chance to outlive us all and inspire humanity for generations to come. This will go down as a very important day in the history of your industry. Together, you are building America's future with your own smarts, your own grit, and your own skin in the game. You have a lot of skin in the game, and that's what you're doing. It takes courage to do it. Most people don't have that courage. My job will be to set you free and to let you do what Americans do best and what you're going to do better than anybody. Win, win, win. You're going to win, win, win. With energy, passion, and brilliance like we have rarely seen before, our country cannot fail. We're in a failing nation right now, but we're not going to be for long. Our country cannot fail. With your help, we will save our nation, we will restore our republic, and we will make America and Bitcoin bigger, better, stronger, richer, freer, and greater than ever before. Thank you all. Have a good time with your Bitcoin and your crypto and everything else that you're playing with. And we're going to make that one of the greatest industries on earth. Good luck, and God bless you all.